Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Wild. I'm your embodied astrologer. Thank you for coming to Wild Spirit Media. And we're going to talk today about Virgo season 2023, as well as Mercury retrograde and things that we need to know about in the next couple of weeks. My main focus for today's conversation is going to be Mercury retrograde, that is going to take place in almost all of Virgo season. And then also talking about what is happening with the lunations that are coming up. Sorry, my kids are in the other room. Back to school crazy is it's crazy, right? So hope that you can get along with the chaos, and let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so what we are looking at right now is the chart for the full moon in Pisces at the end of the month of August 2023. So I'm on astroseek.com. You can always go to astroseek.com and look at the moon charts, but this is the chart for that day. Okay, now don't pay attention to the clock face in regards of the rising sign being Aries. This is under just general Greenwich Mean Time. So it doesn't have like a location. All we want to really pay attention to is the degrees and the aspects in the sky, not so much in body. What you're going to look at in body is going to be your own chart. And in order to understand that, your rising sign is what you need to look for. All right. So on the day of the full moon in Pisces, it's going to be on August 31st or August 30th, depending on where you live. And it is going to be at 7 degrees of Pisces. So that means that the sun is at 7 degrees of Virgo, which it will be. I'll make it its first whole week in the sign of Virgo. And then it will be opposite the moon in Pisces at 7 degrees. So what we have to understand about this first things first is that this is the healer axis. So Virgo being the practical healer, the practical helper, how can I help you? It is closely aligned in modern astrology with Chiron, and being able to be kind of like the shaman, the healer, the more holistic type healer, lots and lots and lots of different types of tools in the bag to deal with things. Whereas when we look at its polarity, which is Pisces, it's very much like the mystic, the spiritualist. It heals through prayer. It heals through belief. It's metaphysics, angels and guides, and your belief system really matters in regards to your healing. So they're both on the healer axis. The way that they get there is just very different. Okay. Anytime we have a full moon, we're seeing the culmination of the lunar cycle in its halfway point. So what we're looking back to is the new moon in Pisces, which was at the early part of the year. So this is where we're now getting into that culmination, illumination energy as to, what was going on when we were in February of 2023. So we're seeing some stuff come up to the surface from around that time, and want to keep that in mind. So at this time, we've also got Mercury retrograde. We've got Venus retrograde. We've got Uranus stationing retrograde the day or two before, depending on where you live. And we've got Saturn retrograde, Chiron retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Neptune retrograde. I think Jupiter is the only sign that has not retrograded yet. So that's a lot. And Mars, but Mars isn't going to retrograde in 2023. It's a lot of energy that is very much in a pause. All right. Now, when our further out planets are in retrograde motion, it takes all the energy internal versus external, and something that we're pushing up against or dealing with outside of ourselves. This is very much like what we call the inside job, right? And in the axis of Virgo and Pisces, we're talking a lot about health, particularly Virgo, talking a lot about routine, fitness, supplements, digestive health, really and truly trying to find, things that serve us, trying to complete the to-do list. In my opinion, I think that this Mercury retrograde is going to be super helpful. It is going to bring us back to old tasks that we've been wanting to complete for a long time. that we're finally going to be able to cross off the very long to-do list, which is my very first thing. It's very practical, which Virgo is. It's very practical in regards to it's time to make a list. All right. So I have a couple of like ritual things that I'm going to share in this recording so that it's there to support you, but we'll get to that here shortly. All right. So what we're really talking about is how we're healing, how we are on a healing journey, how we're surrendering, how we're taking responsibility, very much the paradox of back and forth anytime that we are in full moon energy, because it's opposition, right? There has to be a middle and the in-between, a third way to help neutralize the issues. So we need both practicality and we need magic, right? So in my practice, my LLC is known as the Mystic and Mundane, and we need both, okay? So it's very much about understanding that we need dreams, we need hope, we need surrender, we need belief, we need flow, and also we need practicality and a plan and a to-do list to keep us on track to meet our goals. All right. So at this time, Mars will have moved into late Libra. So it will be in the very early signs of Libra at 2 degrees. And, you know, we're really starting to see what's going on with these nodal axes. So it will have retrograded back to 27 degrees instead of 26. Currently, it's at 26 at the time of this recording. The nodes, they are always in retrograde direction, though, just so you know. And then we've got Chiron at 19 degrees of Aries. Yeah, like just going backwards, really bringing up those old wounds regarding authenticity, bravery, courage, the idea that you can stand on your own 2 feet as an individual and be sovereign is a big one. The right to exist, the right to be worthy for who you are, all of that. It's very, very strong with Chiron in Aries, which is the wound that questions whether or not you're worthy of even being here. Like if your beingness is even worthy of existing. It's a pretty heavy one, right? Uranus will have just stationed retrograde at 23 degrees of Taurus, now applying on Jupiter. So asking us to start really expanding into ideas that allow us to progress forward, to break through any challenges that we might be experiencing. This is a really powerful aspect right here to have Uranus applying retrograde on Jupiter and Taurus. This is very much like looking for the things that are going to work in the long run. You need to watch out for trying to take loopholes or easy ways around. It does not work like that with Taurus. There's a tried and true method, as they would believe, especially in Virgo season. So you want to slow down and you want to pay attention to where you feel like you're being blocked, because Uranus and Jupiter is very powerful breakthrough energy in a very, very powerful way. So let's utilize that. Wherever 15 to 23 degrees of Taurus is in your chart is where you're really going to feel that push. Okay. Now, Venus will be stationing direct, like right here, because Venus is at 12 degrees, which is where that's the degree she makes the final aspect of her journey. We've got Black Moon Lilith ticked up to 26 degrees, which is in a trine. You know, oh, sorry, it's not in a trine. I'm sorry. I was thinking about when the sun was and Venus were both in the late degrees of Leo. But we had that last week. We had this amazing trine last week with the North Node trine, Venus retrograde and Black Moon Lilith, also conjunct the sun. So really asking us to be brave, really asking us to own ourselves, to own our passions, to own all the things that we're driven towards. All right. And then we've got Venus at 19 degrees of Virgo. So it's going to get all the way back to 8 degrees or 9 degrees of Virgo. And like I said, this is a powerful time. I really, you know, like Mercury loves to be in Virgo. It is exalted in Virgo. It loves to be in Virgo. Okay. So some things to do to really make the most of this aspect. Number one would be making an incredibly long list. Just a list of everything. With Virgo, the list is best done on paper with a pencil. Okay. There's nothing Virgo loves more than to strike out something that is done or organizing. Right? Which takes me to the second one. The second one is Virgo season is an incredible time to do a lot of clearing and purging of items that you no longer need. I call this black bag magic. So I get a big black trash bag. I walk through my house and I am ruthless. Anything that is not aligned, anything that is not working, anything that I don't want, that doesn't spark joy for me anymore, anything that looks like it's half broken and I'm like, I'll fix it. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm not going to fix it. So it all goes in the bag. And then depending on what the bag is full of, like sometimes it's a bunch of clothes and I can take it over to Clothes Mentor or Plato's Closet to see if I can consign any of it. Or depending on what it is, it might go to Salvation Army. I do recommend Salvation Army over Goodwill. Goodwill is a very, very, very wealthy corporation at this point, or see if there is a local like Habitat for Humanity or Clothes That Work kind of thing, so that people actually get access to things that are not destroyed, but are still in good quality. They just don't work for you anymore. You know, like you just, maybe they don't fit. Maybe they don't fit your personality anymore. They will for somebody. So being mindful of that, because one of the aspects of Virgo and Pisces is to be of service to humanity. Okay. So to be of service. So that brings me to my next one. If you're feeling really crappy, see if you can find some way to be in service to some sort of mission, whether it's spiritual or if it's just humanitarian, whatever it is. But taking action to help with maybe disaster efforts, like Maui comes up, things like that, putting yourself into action though. Virgo is very action oriented. Okay. It's very action oriented. So seeing if you can put yourself maybe volunteering at like an animal shelter or soup kitchen, regardless, like get your body somewhere where it can be of service. Okay. To the greater good, to humanity, to the earth, really. I mean, gosh, if I could recommend anything, it would be, you know, sustainability efforts. But that's another conversation for another day. The next piece is going to be organization. So Virgo very much is a compartmentalizer. It's highly analytical. It likes things in certain places. It has a way of doing things. It's very orderly. So making sure that, you know, you take some time to clean, clear, purge, smoke clear your space, vacuum, and if it tickles your fancy, you know, to even do some categorization of things to help you be more productive in the future. Okay. So those are, you know, some of my thoughts in regards to Virgo season. The last one would be your health, your nutrition, and your daily routine. There is nothing more valuable to Virgo than health and fitness and wellness and supplements, things like that. Virgo is very much the health coach of the zodiac. So trying to get some sense of routine, not necessarily locked down to follow right now, because when Mercury stations direct, you'll probably lose it, but to get a sense of how you're spending your day. What are your goals? Is how you're spending your day aligned with your goals? Is it all over the place? Do you need more structure? Do you need a very structured schedule? Do you need a block schedule? Do you need to say to health a schedule and lean more into that Pisces energy and just kind of flow with it? But this is a great time to really sit with that and kind of let it be what it is. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second so I can go ahead and change the slide. I'll see in just a second. All right, now we are looking at the new moon, which is going to be somewhere between the 14th to the 15th of September. 2023, and this is our new moon in Virgo. Now, what's cool about the new moon in Virgo is that it is going to station in its exaction at the exact same degree that Mercury stationed retrograde, 21 degrees of Virgo. Okay, this is a very important time period for really like making the most of Mercury retrograde. Now, one of the things that I predicted and I'm starting to see is that we would see COVID related issues come back around during Mercury retrograde, because when the country shut down, we had a full moon in Virgo. and it was Venus retrograde, which is like covering the face with a mask. That's very Venus retrograde, right? To conceal the face. So I had a feeling that we might see some spikes with COVID and, general global health. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself. You may see new mask mandates. You may see a big push of vaccines again. We may see a return of some old COVID restrictions during this time. I made that prediction about a month ago, and we're starting to already see evidence of that. So, just being mindful that health is definitely very strongly tied to the sign of Virgo and Neptune. Now, Neptune rules the blood. All right. So it's very much, tied to blood. Whereas Virgo is very much the full, like the body, like more of the physical body in regards to health and how one takes care of their physical body. Virgo rules the 6th house of day in and day out routines. Everything from the errands you need to run, the food that you eat. If you have to scoop a kitty litter box, it is very much the day in and day out kind of energy. So a lot of people, don't pay a lot of attention to the 6th house, but I do, because it tells you what your life is like on a day-to-day basis. So it's an important one to look at, right? Whereas Pisces rules the 12th house, which is the house of the unseen. It is very mystical. I like to call this the axis of the mystic and the mundane, because it very much is that. So Pisces is much more about the subconscious and art and music and beauty and fluidity and your dreams. It's very abstract. It's very mystical, right? So when we are at this new moon in Virgo, we've got, Mercury. It is about to station direct. We've got Black Moon Lilith at 27 degrees of Leo. So starting to get into those high degrees now. We got Venus direct. She'll be at 14 degrees by that point, starting to ask us to apply our lessons that we learned from Venus retrograde all summer long. We got Mars at 11 degrees of Libra. And that is, starting to get up there, starting to get to the second decan of Libra. So we've got some other planets that are going to station retrograde at that time. Jupiter will have stationed retrograde by the Virgo new moon. And that means that almost all the planets are retrograde. Now, Venus will be direct. Mercury will be stationing direct. It won't be direct yet. And Mars is direct. So our inner planets are direct. So that's helpful on a day-to-day basis. But inside of us, we're facing some internal pieces that really need to expand, especially with Uranus at 22 degrees, moving towards Jupiter retrograde. So it is very much a time of internal expansion, internal contemplation, internal breakthrough. All right. We're also possibly going to see some old arguments, some potentially passive aggressive behavior that really have to be dealt with coming to a head, because we're going to have Mars moving through Libra and the South Node is in Libra at this time. So what does that mean? It means that old, relational issues, especially partnerships, marriages, close friendships, we might see some things coming to a head. We might see some things really out of balance. Some old people-pleasing behaviors might resurface to be really dealt with. And part of this is because Mars is working its way to its exact opposition with Chiron retrograde in Aries and the North and the South Node, which means we've got some karmic access points to work through in regards to being authentic, being an individual, to know oneself, to be sovereign in oneself, to know one's worth as an individual. And then also the other side of that, which is Libra, which is to be in balance, to be in harmony, to be in union, to be in relationship. And the lower expression of that looks like codependency, okay, and manipulation. So we're definitely going to be not in that energy yet. That's going to be more when we see, when we get into like that Aries full moon energy during Libra season. That's always a really powerful time. And that will also coincide with our first Libra eclipse in autumn around October. So big stuff. We want to pay attention to what Mars is leading the way around before the sun and the moon get there, because it's going to start to give us some information as to what eclipse season is going to hold for us this autumn. So at the time of this new moon, we're really being asked to take all of the information that we received from Mercury and Venus retrograde and apply it to our day in and day out habits, rituals, and routines for health, for wellness, for productivity. It really is going to be a powerful new moon. I think it's going to be one of the best new moons of the year. It's going to be very much about like what you're committing to, what you're taking action towards, what kind of plans you're creating, how you're going to be accountable. It's going to be a powerful time. I'm a life coach, so it'll be a powerful time for many life coaches. Life coaches are very much like ruled under Virgo, especially health coaches. So this is a powerful time to see a renewal in the health of all beings. But definitely for those that are working this energy, or for anybody that has very strong Virgo placements. So I hope that this report has been helpful for you, and that I will see you guys next time. So make sure that you subscribe and that you tap into my newsletter subscription. I've got some classes that are about to start rolling out. I am going to roll out Ancestral Witch this fall, which is a really wonderful time to do it this time of the year, as well as a winter retreat. So it's laurenwild.com/subscribe. You'll see it in the link below. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Virgo season. Happy solar return, Virgo Nation, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.